Dating right now is horrendous. At least that's what I'm told by friends and family who are out there dating. The genders are online pointing fingers at one another and shouting about how neither is living up to their expectations. But have you ever considered that we are dating inside systems that are designed for attention and not connection? Volume isn't intimacy. And when you place human beings inside of an environment that teaches you to maximize options instead of maximizing depth, you become fatigued. So today, we're leaving the men are trash and women are crazy nonsense at the door, and we're gonna have an adult conversation about what is actually happening. So kick your shoes off and get comfortable. I'm Sam, and this is The Connection. When you look at the current landscape, it's easy to think that dating is difficult because our standards have become way too high. But the truth is, dating is difficult because our trust in each other is on the floor. The Pew Research Center has repeatedly found that a substantial number of online daters report negative experiences that include, but are not limited to, harassment, unsolicited spicy pictures, and scams. Other research, such as the 2025 Forbes Health Survey, found reports of dating app fatigue amongst Gen Z users, which means a lot of people aren't entering dating with openness anymore. They're putting on suits of armor and preparing for battle emotionally, but expecting to feel a connection. First dates move from an experience where two people navigate curiosity and playfulness to an interrogation situation. We've gone from what do you do to unwind to tell me about your unresolved childhood trauma and what you're doing about that. Yeah, it's rough out there, but this is what a lot of videos are missing. Dating apps don't just give you options, they train your brain to be rejection machines. Psychological experiments show that when people are presented with high volumes of romantic options, they reject potential partners faster because their brain is switching into a filtering device. Joseph D'Angelo and Catalina Thoma's experiments shed more light on the issue and found that when participants had a larger set of dating profiles to choose from, they were less satisfied with their selections and more likely to reconsider or even reverse their choices later. Swiping then isn't neutral, it prioritizes speed. So you develop skills that are great for shopping but terrible for intimacy. And once your mind gets used to instant dismissal, you bring that same reflex into the world of dating. They say one awkward thing and then you got it. Because the environment around dating incentivizes you to always keep shopping. We've been hoodwinked. We've been sold the idea that more options makes dating easier. But the research shows something different. When people think there are a higher number of potential partners, it often increases anxiety, lowers momentary self-esteem, and reduces relationship satisfaction. Why? Because infinite options create internal instability. Our nervous system evolved to make bounded decisions. Decision-making typically worked by satisficing. That means picking what is good enough to preserve our energy, stability, and our well-being. But modern life throws a spanner in the works. Everything from dating apps to phones all try to offer an illusion of unlimited choice. But by having so many options, it means your brain sees every option that you don't choose as a viable option. You've chosen partner A, but your mind keeps imagining an imaginary future with partner B and C. But those futures are idealized. Your brain is picturing a best case scenario and pitting it against what you actually have in real life. This can cause people to date with one eye on the relationship and one eye on the exit. And if I can remix a line from Magneto, if you're only using half your concentration to stay in your relationship,
then you're only half paying attention to whatever else you're doing.
To add to this chaos, we live in a world where we've never had more access to people. Location sharing, read receipts, video calls, the lot. But access isn't the same thing as intimacy. Social media can create an illusion that confuses being able to reach others with a feeling of closeness. And because we are constantly exposed to one another, instead of connection, we get the pressure to always be reachable. I want you to think about it this way. Human beings use observable behavior as an emotional shortcut. Since we can't measure care directly, we find behaviors that act as a proxy to care. If you cared, you would reply quicker. Or if you really missed me, you would text me first. We fall into this trap of using metrics to evaluate our connections. But you can scale metrics, You can't scale intimacy. So you can text someone 100 times a day. Don't, by the way. That won't guarantee that you feel any closer. To make things worse, you're expected to maintain responsiveness over Instagram, WhatsApp, text, phone calls, and whatever other platforms you two have. This isn't just personal behavior, it's structural. Modern day culture promotes low commitment, infinite alternatives, topped off with a side of constant social comparison. Many singletons are on a loop. You keep introducing yourself and offering small pieces of emotional access to people who often don't stay. Each time you start to build something, it dissolves, and after enough of these cycles, you start seeing dating not as a fun time or an enriching experience, but as a mental strain. Our nervous system wasn't built to emotionally audition over and over again. Every new connection activates your brain's dopamine circuitry. That novelty creates anticipation. Adding to that, every conversation creates an emotional investment. But when these connections end abruptly via ghosting, incompatibility, or finding out that they already had a partner, your brain sees it as an interrupted reward, a pattern that the nervous system finds deeply stressful. Each new interaction asks you to present a version of who you are, your values, your humor, and your life experiences. But when these presentations never stabilize into a real sense of ongoing connection, people detach emotionally in order to protect their emotional bandwidth. Simply put, when people feel replaceable, they're less likely to invest emotionally, which leads to shorter interactions, faster exits, and lower accountability. Dating apps and social media in general reward activity. They're not really in the business of depth. So these systems keep us circulating connections instead of consolidating them into something more meaningful. But that's not all. Dating used to be a private affair, but now it's not just public, it's advertised. We orchestrate engagement videos with the intention to upload it to the world. We vlog couples' holidays and we post what we had for our Valentine's Day meal. All aspects of our relationship are becoming interactions that can be circulated, cropped, and edited. Sociologists call this impression management, the process in which people try to influence how they're perceived by controlling information and self-presentation. This can lead us to seeing our relationship as nothing more than a stage in which we get to show off a feature-length production of how perfect our relationship is. This then puts pressure on couples to take that holiday, even though it might not be financially sensible to do so. To tell the world about personal issues when maybe it's better to keep it in-house. When there is constant pressure on our dating lives, it becomes a performance. And if it's a performance, how can we not be anything other than actors? The biggest flex in modern dating isn't your impressiveness, it's your stability. Being mysterious and brooding is for the movies. Real people want consistency. No one who is looking to build a long-term relationship with you wants to spend most of it guessing where they stand because you're doing your best Thomas Shelby impression. Just look around you. We are dying for something authentic inside an ecosystem built for speed and disposable connections. But if you really want to experience something real, you have to step out of the environment that's giving you your microwave dinner connections. Not 10 women participating in your DM Hunger Games to see which one drops pant the fastest, but one woman that you care enough to discover her likes, dislikes, and motivations. You don't need a contact list of men who want to take you to Dubai. Just one man who's excited enough to introduce you to his family before he takes you to Dubai. And when you stop entertaining endless options and actually choose one person, you are choosing to step out of this digital marketplace and into actual human connection. There's no need for a performance. No need to skinwalk as your favorite social media influencer. Just a man getting to know a woman and being fully invested in that process, and vice versa. Dating feels so hard because we're dating inside systems that reward speed, image, and disposability. Many singletons are trying to build something human whilst relying on an environment that reduces people and their lives into content. And so maybe that's got you feeling like in order to survive, you can't be yourself. But that's because you're looking at things inside of this environment. The solution then isn't to be colder or to collect more superficial relationships. It's to gain some clarity. And I don't mean that in a condescending way. See, everything is moving so fast these days that we barely have the time to get clear about who should have access to us, what kind of relationships do we want, and what part of our lives do we want to disseminate. It's true that you don't control apps or who waste your time, but you do get to decide whether you date with intention, whether you select for shared values, and whether you prioritize consistency. Start moving like someone who knows what they want and what they're building towards. If dating feels like a mess right now, that shouldn't be seen as a sign to give up. Instead, take it as a signal to upgrade how you show up. That's how you survive modern dating. And more importantly, it's how you improve yourself while you're looking. I'm Sam, and until the next time, make some room.